Hello everyone, it's another day of opportunity for digital media entrepreneurs. And today the opportunity is to take a look at how 20 very different media organizations from around the world have created viable business models. In about 8 minutes, I'm going to share with you some of their secrets, and some of them are things that your organization could easily do. This all started when one of my colleagues here at the University of Navarra said he was very worried about the future of high-quality journalism, particularly local journalism. He saw that many family-owned newspaper organizations around Spain were struggling financially. They were laying off employees, reducing their local coverage, or even going bankrupt and closing down. So several of us began a study. Our goal was to see if we could first identify some organizations that were providing quality journalism, and by that we meant journalism that met the industry standards of fairness, accuracy, and service to the community, and that were also financially sustainable, profitable, or at least breaking even. Ultimately, we chose 20 examples of sustainable journalism from 4 regions: Western Europe, Eastern Europe, the US, and Latin America. Then we examined the elements of their business models to see if there were any common elements that could be used to show a way forward for other media. We have a very complicated graphic, which I'm going to show you a little bit of here. And it gives you a picture of some of the criteria we examined. Each media organization's business model, its profit margin, whether it had a paywall or accepted advertising, how many journalists they had, the size of their online audience, and the level of engagement they had with their users. We concluded that there were basically 5 elements that all of these organizations shared. The first is independence and credibility. All 20 describe themselves as independent of the political and business powers that be, and they tied that to a claim of credibility and trustworthiness. Their value proposition was based on this independence, their highly differentiated content, and a commitment to public service. They backed up their claim to credibility with an unusual level of transparency. They identified their owners, investors, shareholders, donors, or sponsors. Most revealed financial details with revenue and expenses, and they all published profiles of their executives and staff in editorial, business, and technology functions. 14 of the 20 identified accountability journalism, or investigative journalism, as a key part of their offering, and many described how they went about gathering the information for these investigative reports, and how they made decisions about how to present it, all part of transparency. The second thing that distinguished them was they focused on users rather than advertisers. All of them made the needs and problems of their users the primary focus of their work. Advertisers and sponsors came second or not at all. Half of this group doesn't even accept advertising. So they focus on creating value for the community. Enough value that the people would be willing to pay for a digital subscription. So half of these organizations have some sort of paywall. And you can't ask people to pay for information that's irrelevant to them. The third thing they have in common is they're digital first. They embrace the power of digital communication and its differences from traditional media. They use hyperlinks to connect users to original source documents, to provide evidence and context. They even go out to sites outside of their own site. They tell stories in multimedia formats. They make their work social and shareable in the channels where their users prefer to consume information and share. The fourth thing is their founders are veteran journalists from traditional media. And these founders used their experience, their reputation, and their credibility, what you might call their social capital, to attract investors, contributors, and employees. The one exception to this was Perspective Daily in Germany, which was founded by two scientists. And they focused their site on solutions journalism. The fifth thing they have in common is they really go out of their way to engage their audience and encourage participation. The best evidence of engagement is that the users are willing to pay for a digital subscription or membership, and as I mentioned, half of them have that. But beyond that, they encourage their audiences to participate in the information gathering, crowdsourcing, if you will. And they use two-way communication or interactivity with the public to get story suggestions and news tips, and to do collective investigations, collaborations with other news sites. 7 of the 20 are nonprofits. 13 have a for-profit business model. These 5 keys to sustainability are just some of those that could be mentioned. Obviously, there might be others other researchers have found. But the truth is that while there are some tactics and strategies that could be imitated by others, each media organization has to find its own path. And that path is defined in part by each individual organization's local market, their community's tastes and preferences, the digital spaces where they like to communicate, the local language, the business culture of the market, social customs, and finally, the skills and abilities of the personnel they have on their staff. So each organization will have to find its own path to viability, their own opportunity.